items similar, if not identical, to those that have already been enumerated. That is a peculiar law of statutory construction. For another example, there is a principle of statutory construction. Expressio unius exclusio alterius. To include something means that you have excluded all others. So you have to know all of these rules before you can interpret what the Constitution means. That is why we have a subject in law school called constitutional construction or constitutional interpretation. That's why it is said that constitutional law is the most difficult of all subjects to pass. Because it's not a question of just reading it as if it were an encyclopedia. You have to be familiar with all the decisions of the Supreme Court on that subject. Ngayon, you might ask me, I think that is the gist of your symposium, what changes should we have? Should we ever have a constitutional convention? And I have written them down in legalese so that you will see how lawyers talk, but I will interpret them for you in layman's terms, because otherwise you will not be able to understand me. Constitutional law has its own language. It's like talking in code to some other person. Just like international law, when you go abroad, you talk in a different way. You use certain terms of art that are not used in ordinary speech. That's why sometimes my colleague cannot understand what it is that I'm saying, and then I begin to lose my temper. That's because we come from different places. Ngayon, halos siguro lahat sa inyo were not here when in 1987 the present Constitution was ratified. It has been in effect for about 25 years. So nakikita na natin anong resulta. Kailangan mo minsan na palit din tayo ng Constitution because nag-iba na ang sitwasyon. Changing circumstances demand a new Constitution. Kasi hindi naman pwede na nakita mo, na prophesy mo ang mangyayari sa kinabukasan. So you cannot write a Constitution that will be good for all time. Although the main characteristic of the Constitution is permanence. You should not also amend your Constitution as if it were an ordinary law that you pass it today, 5 years later, you discard it or you repeal it. No. A Constitution should last about one generation, about 30 years, no? Malapit na rin yung ating Constitution. So this is a summary of my proposals. Number 1, shorten the Constitution. Ang haba ng ating Constitution, nagwala sila. Our Constitution is both very noisy and verbose. Para bang political speech sa rally.